views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hey there, welcome to the Bronx Buzz. This is BronxNet's program where we talk to reporters and writers and journalists and editors, and I'll underscore that for this evening's program. We also have in our second segment a very, very interesting segment with high school students. So it's the first time we've ever done that. Nonetheless, it is really a thrill for me to have an old friend and an old friend of the Bronx, Ralph Ortega, who is now the actually technically interim editor-in-chief for this magazine, City and State, New York. And nice to see you again, Ralph. How are you? It's been a long time.
Been a very long time, and happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
So just for people in the Bronx who say, wait a minute, I think I kind of remember that guy's name. You worked for the Daily News on the Bronx section, right? Talk about that briefly.
Yes, I back in '99, I joined the Daily News via New Jersey. I'd been working for the Asbury Park Press there, but I was dying to come home to New York because I'm a native New Yorker, and I got hired by the News and was working out of the Bronx Bureau, the former Bronx Bureau, Morris Park, actually. And it was really an interesting time. We had such resources. We had, I think up to 3 reporters and a boss. And
You can mention the boss's name, our good friend Bob Capstatter, a legend in the Bronx and in Bronx politics, for sure.
Still very much in my life to this very day. I have to say he's a great mentor, and one of them, and I'm friend. I worked there for about 13 months before the boss in Manhattan said, come on downtown and start chasing police stories and politics and breaking news, and did that for about 5 years.
I'm always curious about muse, like what is an artist's muse? What is it that drives you to be a reporter, to be a journalist, to want to go chasing police cars down the block, as well as politicians now, and the reporters, which is what you got to do for your living now. But what is it that drives you? What's in your mind about it?
Oh, it's the reward of being able to meet people and tell their stories, and to, I know it sounds cliche, but I've been, I've been such a fan of just getting to know so many people over my life, and being able to have the privilege of getting to know their stories and having them tell me their stories. That was one of the things about working at the News and chasing crime stories, and going out to meet people who had perhaps suffered some kind of problem, and then getting to hear what it was like for them personally. That really adds the human dimension to a story. So I've always loved that part, that I could be paid actually for a living to do that, in addition to all the regular stuff that we do, writing about the news and being able to tell, keep the public informed about what's going on in their lives. That's a privilege, honestly.
So, but does being an editor-in-chief take you out of the process of, I was going to say sitting at your typewriter, of course we don't do that anymore, but sitting at the computer and typing stories, and so now you're involved in making larger editorial decisions and those kinds of things? Or are you still writing stuff and kind of hardcore roll up the sleeves, get involved?
Fortunately for me, I do have the opportunity to write whenever the opportunity comes up. I did a cover story on Carolyn Maloney about 3 weeks ago. That was a lot of fun, and got another cover story coming up. I'd rather leave that to our readers to find out about later.
All right, we'll find out soon enough.
But it is timely for next week, and we're sure that you'll look forward to reading on that.
I want to talk about City and State in particular. I love this publication, and I get the updates every morning and every night. And it's just a fascinating read. You have excellent reporters for people who do what I do, reporting on local politics and local issues. There's always something in here that is relevant. So congratulations for that. One of the features I wanted to ask you about, which is ingenious, it probably was created, in fact, it definitely was created before you, and that is the top 100 that you do. Sometimes it's the top 50, the power 50. I'm happy that I've been named in the Bronx listings periodically, and that's always very gratifying. But it gives you a sense of outreach. So this issue here, people can see it's the Not Profit 100. For people interested in the Bronx and in the city, here's your 100 most important not-for-profit people. And you do it with healthcare, and you do it with education, you do it with the Bronx and Brooklyn and Staten Island. What How difficult is it to put that together? I guess you do one just about every week, right? That's gotta be a big task, right?
So today we published an editor's note explaining our criteria for choosing these lists. So the way our publisher Tom Allen likes to define power is, our list is basically what makes this person powerful, right? It's a combination of their influence. It's a combination of uh, their achievements, there's what kind of work they do, if they're in government, if they have access to government officials and influencers. And my editor's note details how we take a lot of care in those weeks of preparation and research involving the reporters to determine a list that's not only robust, but also reflecting diversity, inclusion, as well as accountability and responsibility. So if a person in power, for example, is considered for our list, we also have to consider where they are in this world at the moment, if there's any kind of issues regarding them or controversy.
Right. That becomes part of it. Yeah, it involves a lot. The one thing that I thought of from somebody in media, it also gives you a tremendous reach, because then if 100 organizations are represented, not for profits, they and presumably many of the people they serve and others will be interested. And of course, it helps broaden the reach of the paper. I don't know if you want to go there, but I know from somebody in media that it's a very, very clever device and always fascinating to read, I have to tell you. Um, the other thing I want to ask you about is future. I mean, so here you go. Here's a guy who comes in. He's got a nice background. He's worked the editor of a financial paper and has been with the Daily News and all that. And now he's going to be the interim editor of this really extraordinary publication. You have ideas of new things that we're going to get, or is it really a task of just keeping all those plates spinning every single day?
Well, I'm very excited to say that we are about to announce our first advisory board.
Oh,
Um, So we have appointed someone to head that advisory board, Cheryl Huggins Salomon. She works at NYU's McSilver Institute, and she has worked with us as an editor in the past. We, with Cheryl, have put together a panel of about a dozen community members who will be a sounding board for the selection of people on our lists. This way,
oh,
we're taking the added measure of ensuring that we really are listening, keeping our ear to the ground and listening to our audience, so that these power lists are as accurate and reflective as much of the community as possible.
well, that's fascinating, because I could see how people say, "Oh, well, wait a minute, why'd you choose him or her?" And then all of a sudden, you got to answer to stuff that you'd rather not answer. I guess it's a real challenge, and I actually had an interaction with some people who I respect, who were saying, "Oh, the media," and then they criticized the media for being wrong or for being false or for only caring about money. And I said, I got to tell you, I've been doing this for a very long time. The large percentage of people that I know who are doing news or doing what you do or doing what I do really care about trying to do it the right way, right? I mean, you have writers in there. When I interview them, they are right down the middle. What is the truth is the truth, right?
Well, we've got a great staff at City and State. Um, and let me mention as well that we're expanding our franchise. So we hope to see the model repeated across the country and perhaps other cities.
Wow.
We've had a publication and site in Philadelphia, and we just, there was a time where we had no longer owned them, but now we've repurchased them because we're also part of a much larger organization now. We're part of Government Executive Media Group. And this is a terrific team of journalists, as just like City and State, working out of Washington. And Government Executive is their flagship publication. And like City and State, it's a publication that is written for people in federal government. And so there's a lot of crossover that we are hoping to capitalize in that new relationship. And
Fascinating.
we're going to be relaunching City and State Pennsylvania the same way. And I'm very confident that we're going to have a great staff there as well, just
Wow.
hopefully as good as our staff in New York.
You know, it really is a credit to you and credit to the concept, because the possibilities when you write a political paper, a lot of times they start out being down the middle, and then all of a sudden it shifts because everybody's got their own agenda. But this publication, City and State New York, has been great. You know, when you said it, all of a sudden I'm thinking a Chicago and Illinois paper. Wow, what a revelation! And to get people information that, listen, sometimes it's this way, sometimes it's that way. You just, you know, put your finger out and measuring the winds. That's what you do. Anyway, Ralph Ortega, it's been great to reconnect. Congratulations on the new appointment, the interim editor-in-chief of City and State. I don't know if I'm asking the wrong thing, is saying, are we going to get you appointed officially? I don't know. If you're, tell him to call me and I'll tell him to do it.
Stay tuned. Thank you so much.
It's great. And for anybody who doesn't know, go to City and State New York and make sure you get it every week like I do. And Ralph, continued good luck. It's been great to reconnect, and more and more great things from you and our friends at City and State New York. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gary.
No problem. All right, folks, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to go from an interim editor-in-chief to high school students who are doing some great work in the Bronx. Don't go away.